unfortunately I couldn't. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna put in the chat. Okay, I'm live on mobile, but it's not the scheduled live stream. I started a new one. Okay, so what happened was I was not able to sort of go into the one that's currently that I had scheduled as a live, and I seem to have started a new live on mobile, which no one is in. Everyone's in waiting in the chat of the live one. So I'm gonna see if people can find this one, but I don't know how. See if y'all can find the new live stream that I'm in now instead of the scheduled one. Okay, it's so sad because live stream worked last time, but live chat didn't work. Now live chat is working and live stream isn't working. So that's frustrating and I do not understand why. But let's see. Oh, Nolan made it, if that link helps. Okay, hello. I don't know if you can be in two places at once, Nolan, but I wonder if you can explain how you got here. Maybe you had to sort of exit. I imagine you had to exit. And hi, oh, y'all are making it in. Okay, you probably had to exit the other live stream and sort of enter this one, I imagine, a new one that I started. So I have no idea what it's gonna be like on mobile. But yeah, okay, it sounds like that's what you all did. I clicked on your name and then it showed it. Okay, all right. So I'm just gonna put it in here. Hey y'all, try leaving here and going to my YouTube channel page and finding the new live stream I started on mobile. It's so weird that I have both open too, so. But yeah, the other one, this one I'm able to live chat on the old one that I had scheduled, but it still says going live and I have no video. But here I can see you all, and Alan is here too. Okay, so Nolan, Sweet Angel, Alan, at least the three of you are here with me. Thank you so much for your patience. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. And this time I was so proud of myself. I did troubleshooting yesterday. I went and made sure that I had to do a few things to make sure that I could get the live chat to work. So I learned how to do the how to get the live chat to work. But I wonder if I did something, whatever. It was nothing crazy. I just basically cleared cache and I cleared some cookies off of the site data for YouTube. But I don't know, in doing that, I must have cleared too much out and the video didn't want to do. Anyway, we're here. Hello. And I know a lot of you are on mobile anyway, so maybe it's kind of nice having the vertical video. And I don't know if this video will save after like it does when I'm doing it on the desktop. But I am so grateful that you're here and I'm grateful for your patience. And look, I'm experimenting. This is really new. All I know is I love the practice, I love meditation, and I feel like sometimes my heart just swells with how much benefit it's brought me into my life and as well as you all and how much the connection has meant to me. So all I want to do sometimes, I do these live streams to be like, this is just one way that I'm experimenting right now. It's one way that I feel like I have the capacity to show up and share. And so here we are. So it looks like a lot of you have somehow made it in here. I can't quite see who is in here unless you're in the chat. So maybe just if you're comfortable, just say hello in the chat. That way I know that you're here. It looks like up to 10 people are here. But I definitely know that Nolan, Sweet Angel, and Alan, y'all are here. So thank you so much. So look, because it's already 20 minutes past 9. This is a live stream. This is super informal. There's never any obligation. Hello, yes. Kitsu, hello, Kitsu Bite. And by the way, if I ever don't recognize your username, but I actually know you from real life, or I know you from VR, or I know you from another community, yeah, just don't take it personally if I don't seem to recognize you. But I'm so, so glad you're here. So, because we're starting this live stream a little bit late because of technical difficulties, I'm going to launch right in and I'll try to kind of keep it short. These are, because they're live streams, it's really hanging out. It's really informal. Feel free to pop in when you feel like it, and sort of pop out when you need to. I'm hoping that this is something that I can keep a recorded version of and have it somewhere on the channel, so the people that want to, that didn't get to catch it live, can be here, can catch it, can catch a replay of it. Thank you. My hair, yes, my hair is very voluminous and wavy today. It really depends on how it dries. So yeah, so y'all are seeing a different version of that today. Hello, Pat from Canada. I do live in Canada. I'm in beautiful British Columbia. And yeah, I'm seeing a lot of potentially new people slide in, which is maybe the fun thing with mobile, that you can kind of just slip in. Thank you. So for those of you who don't know me, hello from Edmonton. Nice, welcome. I would love to know where you all are from. From Surrey, beautiful. And yeah, please do keep saying hello in the chat. I am opening up to questions. I do have some things I wanted to share, some topics I had that I wanted to share around movies and meditation and mood, which is super, super juicy and fun for me. But please, yeah, keep put any questions in the chat. I'd love to address those too. From Halifax, so many Canadians here. Beautiful. Welcome wherever you are from. Wherever you're from, wherever, yeah, whatever you're bringing with you today, hello. And because the topic today is going to be, yeah, I should probably introduce myself. Hello, New Hampshire, welcome. I am Canadian. I am from British Columbia. I mean, that's where I'm based right now, in British Columbia. And for those of you who have popped in and don't know me, my name is Parisa. I teach mindfulness. I teach meditation, and I really help people develop their own personal toolkits for well-being. And I'm just kind of doing this for fun, doing this as an experiment. And because the topic today, I'm going to turn that off. You know what? I'm going to actually exit the old chat. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye in the old live stream that I had scheduled that's not working out. Bye. See ya on the new live stream. I'm going to close that window. Hopefully, yeah. So just as a really quick practice, because that's what I do. Whatever your reason for being here is, my reason for being here with you is to share the practice, super simple practice of being here together, being here together in a way that's really present. So because I want to talk about movies and mindfulness and how movies and awareness can really go together, I thought for our grounding practice to really arrive here together, we can do an open-eyed meditation. So wherever you are, just kind of notice where you are. I'm going to have a sip of my tea and sort of you coming into a sensory experience of being here right now. So you might also be holding a cup in your hand, and this will just be a quick, maybe 3-minute practice that we'll do together. You might notice wherever you're seated, get whatever you need to be comfortable. This is informal, this is our live stream, and it's really just about being present here together. You might notice the space around you. You might notice what it's like to be here. Make sure your body is as comfortable as possible. Because we are going to be practicing an open-eyed meditation If there is a window nearby, you may want to find something to rest your gaze on the window, outside the window, that might be nice. Otherwise, something in your space, something neutral or pleasant, something that's not going to trigger any negative emotions like a pile of dishes or laundry that you need to do. And because, again, we're going to be talking a lot about sight, a lot about visuals today. And see if you can imagine as if you're a photographer or a painter or a drawer, an artist, a drawer, and really notice visually whatever it is that you're choosing to rest your gaze on. As if you're seeing it for the first time. Really notice the details, maybe the light, shape, texture, the angle or perspective. And it might just be the table in front of you, the wall, the paint, but notice light, texture, color. Notice some small detail that maybe you've never noticed before. Continuing to breathe, but really resting your gaze on this object in this space. Letting yourself appreciate the miracle that is sight and seeing. Maybe even touching into something sacred about the fact that you are here and you're able to perceive, you're able to notice, you're able to have this sensory experience, which is actually really precious. See if you can let everything else fall away and just be here with the sensory experience of being here, especially seeing. Again, resting your gaze somewhere in your space, on some object. Maybe seeing it like in high definition in a way that you've never quite seen it before. A couple more breaths here, a couple more moments to really take it in. Again, beginner's mind, fresh eyes, as if you're seeing for the first time. Hopefully that helped you arrive a little bit in this space together. So welcome, welcome. People will be coming in and out, as is traditional for a live stream. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, touching the cat. I have my cat underneath my desk too. That's a great way to sort of come into presence. Again, any sensory experience, right? That feeling, the fur on the cat. You know, here I have a wood table in front of me. You know, just that's enough. So really, that ties into the topic for today, which is anything can be a mindfulness practice. Anything can be an awareness practice. Anything, when approached in a contemplative, meditative way, can really be the pathway to bring you into presence or appreciation. So welcome again, everyone. Make sure you grab anything that you need. Hello from North Carolina, Quebec, we had New Hampshire, Halifax, Surrey, Edmonton. Sorry if I missed any places. So many places, awesome. So the topic for today, I wanted to talk about movies and mindfulness. And some of you who've been hanging out with me for a while know that I absolutely love movies, and they've been a really big part of my life on so many levels. They've been a bit important part of important to my family. I used to briefly work in film, and I used to want to pursue it as a profession. And here's the thing with movies, okay? And it doesn't have to be fancy, highbrow, art movies, any movies. Of course, well-made movies that are where like the craft of filmmaking, the visuals, the cinematography, the sound, the acting. Higher quality movies might be a little bit more conducive to this practice, but the idea, but here are the reasons basically that I think movies can actually be supportive in our mindfulness practice. But I want to, from the very beginning, be super clear that I want this conversation to be balanced. I want this conversation to have some nuance, even though it's not going to be hours long, and we'll kind of keep it as short as I can. But as with everything, there's nuance and there's balance to these things, right? Whatever the practice, I don't care whatever the practice is, there depends our relationship with it. And there can be benefits from practicing with movies. And then there are maybe some dark sides too that we can be aware of. And that goes with a silent meditation practice too. That goes with a loving kindness practice too. All of it needs to be done in balance. Any of these practices can offer a lot of benefit, but if practiced out of balance, if practiced unskillfully, even a silent breath meditation, there is a side of it, and we'll talk about it in a moment, but there's a side of it where it can be not so helpful. So in the way that I teach personal practice and in the way that I teach meditation, it's really important to me to keep it accessible. So yes, going to retreat and studying meditation and, kind of going really deep and taking it really seriously is very good, can offer us a lot of benefit. But not everyone can, devote so much energy to their meditation practice. And I also don't think it's necessary. I think you can get a lot of benefit out of a meditation practice, out of a spiritual practice, and you can bring it into really everyday life in small ways. Now, movies are a way, and if you've watched some of my YouTube videos, I have some of my most popular YouTube videos are about unusual habits that bring in presence. So it's very much that the idea of bringing in an awareness practice, a gratitude practice, whatever the practice is, into everyday life. One of the things I talk about is movies. Now, I will definitely share one of my favorite movies as we're going. That's a great question. Feel free to keep the questions coming. Now, movies are obviously quite visual, right? Yes, there's sound. Yes, there's other elements when you're watching a movie, but primarily the dominant sensory experience is sight or seeing, and it's visual. You can argue that so is our existence on this planet, right? Yes, we have an entire rich sensory experience, but so much as humans, I think sight and seeing is such a dominant part of our experience. So I think it makes sense that we look at movies. So I think the first thing that I would list as the top, what I feel like movies have helped me in my awareness practice, is bringing a sense of appreciation. Okay, so when you think about, again, especially a well-made movie, and we can think of the same thing as, photography, any medium of art where you're framing something, right? And even right now, I'm looking at myself, especially in a movie that's beautifully made, when it's not just, and when I'm talking about a movie, I mean, I'm talking about cinematography. I'm talking about paying attention to, bringing visual, like depicting visual reality through lighting, through framing, through really capturing it with a camera. What you're really doing is so similar to what we do in a mindfulness practice, which is placing our attention on something, right? When I decide to place my attention on an object, it's the same thing. I'm almost framing it. I'm bringing focus to it, I'm noticing how light is hitting it, how perspective and angle changes it, right? So it's all about paying attention. And in that way, what a good filmmaker does is they pay attention. And yes, you can argue that a good writer, in a different medium is doing the same thing. They're paying attention. And so they're bringing that focus, they're paying attention, they're shining a light on something, and they're sharing that with you as the audience. So a good movie will bring more awareness to something. Now imagine a scene in a movie. A lot of times movies can almost look a little bit shinier, a little bit more a little bit better than real life, and that doesn't necessarily mean more beautiful, or it could just even be a very gritty depiction of something. But it's like, again, because there's so much attention to lighting, to the framing, to the quality, to color, just the visual experience of the reality. It helps us to really bring that level of awareness and attention to even a really mundane scene. So some of my favorite movies, so someone is asked an example of my favorite movie. Obviously this question is really hard, and I have so many because I love movies so much, but one of the first two that comes to mind, and I've shown clips of these in some of my YouTube videos. One of them is Amélie, French movie, Amélie. Another one is Double Life of Veronica, La Vie Double de Véronique. So they happen to be French movies, but they're super. Amélie was really, really famous in American cinema too. Many of you know. So one of the things that I love about these movies is it doesn't necessarily mean that everything they are depicting in the movie is necessarily beautiful, but they show it in a way that shows the beauty of even the mundane. So in Amélie, for example, there's these shots of, close-ups of, a cup of coffee, a table at a cafe, the fruit in a produce stand on the street in Paris. It's in Paris, so it helps that it's like, there's a certain aesthetic beauty to that. But or a scene where I remember there's a scene where she puts her hand in a bag of beans, and there's this, and that again, that evokes the sensory experience, and that's beyond the visual, because then you're talking about tactile sensation. But it's really, it brings your attention to everyday things, and because they're again frame lit, colored in a way that maybe real life isn't always that precise or with that much care and attention, all of a sudden you're seeing as if for the first time, and that brings a sense of appreciation. And I think so much of mindfulness practice is about being in life fully awake, fully, with more awareness, with more paying attention, and that brings a sense of appreciation. So that's one way that I think movies have really sort of like enhanced and helped me develop mindfulness. Because if you really start to watch movies in that way, and then you carry that into your experience as you're on a walk, as you're on a drive, as you're, putting away dishes, all of a sudden, maybe this is what people mean by romanticizing your life and really moving through your life cinematically. But it's like, how is this too? How is this? I'm looking at a piece of paper is casting a shadow on my notebook right now, and there's something really cinematic and beautiful about that. And I maybe wouldn't, and I'm noticing it because I've trained my mind to notice the beauty in these small visual moments. And so you go out into your regular life, and you choose to see through your own eyes as if they're a camera lens, and you choose to really notice angles and lighting and texture and small things like a little glimmer in someone's eye or the corner of their smile, these details that I think in a lot of ways, like cinematography and photography, has helped me to appreciate these small details. So that's one. Um, so I'm already noticing that this live stream is going pretty long and I have so much more to say. I might just make a full YouTube video about movies and mindfulness. But one thing I wanted to really touch on before I kind of close the topic is it's true that when you're watching a movie, most movies will have to have a story, right? They have a story. There's a drama being depicted. Otherwise, it's a little bit tough. It may not keep your interest. Arguably, it may not keep your interest. So there is, again, we're talking about the light side and the shadow side of things, right? So the light side, I mean, okay, I'll start with the shadow side. When you're watching a movie, there needs to necessarily, if there is a story, there is probably a character, there's conflict, there's drama, that's the basic thing we learn about storytelling, is there needs to be conflict. In order for there to be conflict, there needs to be character, there needs to be a sense of separation between this character and their reality and all the things around them, and there needs to be struggle and there needs to be problems. How do I want to articulate this? That is life, and that is the reality that we live in. We too have a sense of being, a sense of self, and we have things that we want and we have things that we don't want. Therefore there's a struggle in life, right? We're always trying to get something, we're trying to run away from something, we're trying to avoid something. So in Eastern philosophy, that classic, aversion and desire, that constant pull and pull of things, which creates the drama of life, right? The wanting something, the desire, the pull towards something, and maybe fear and running away from something. And so in movies, in drama, there is this drama is playing out, and that's what makes life interesting. I mean, not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing. That's what makes that's what adds dimension to life. That's what this existence is all about: being a separate self, being on a journey, having something that you need to overcome and having something that you want to achieve. That's wonderful within balance. If that is out of balance, then first of all, you might notice it as you're even watching a movie and you get really entangled, and you can see the characters getting really entangled in their story and their sense of self and their personal struggles and, just all of the drama. What you can do, what you can practice when you're watching a movie, and this is something that carries over into your personal life, is you can practice being the witness to this story, the witness to this narrative, or the witness to this human drama that's playing out. And because it's a movie, there's a sense of like it's safe, right? You're not actually involved in the story. In moments you might feel yourself really drawn in and you're really like wrapped up in it, and then again you can kind of breathe, relax the shoulders, notice that okay, it's just a movie, and you can just, and this sense of being the audience, being the spectator of the movie, can really mimic what it's like to be the witness of your own inner experience in your own life. So I'm going to say that again. When you're watching a movie and the whole drama is unfolding, and there's conflict and there's struggle and there's desire and not getting what you want and chasing what you want, just as we can observe that and be aware of that without attachment, because it's not first of all, it's not our life, and it's also a movie, so it's easier to sort of observe and witness that with non-attachment. In a way, we can practice, okay, if it's possible to do that while I'm watching a movie, is it possible in my own life, when there is the inner drama, right? All of the thoughts, all of the chasing and the longing and the desire, Is it possible there too for me to be the witness of this drama too? To be a compassionate witness, hopefully. So you're not judging yourself for it, right? You really just, oh yeah, this is hard for the character in the movie. And yeah, this is hard for me too right now. There's these things that I desire. There's these things that I don't want, that I'm trying to run away from. Oh, and here we're developing compassion and practicing the capacity to be that spacious witness and just notice the drama of our lives too in a way that's a little bit less personal, a little bit less identified, less entangled. Um, and yeah, just you taking it a little bit less personally, kind of observing it from a distance. So here is the again the possibility. Um, and I think that's kind of an underrated thing, that watching movies, and yeah, you can argue that watching a play, that reading a story, can do this for us. But because movies are so prevalent in our culture, and again, the visual medium is so dominant in our personal experience, but also in media, that it's kind of a place where we can, I think, where we can really practice with it and bring some of these things into our own life. The last thing I'll say before I wrap up, and thank you to everyone who's stayed on so far, is, oh, I'm like, should I go into this, because this could take a while to explain. I'll just say this: when you're watching a movie, and hello, um, notice if there, as you're noticing characters, see if you can notice characters as archetypes. And what I mean by that is characters as archetypes is characters that represent something symbolically. So you might be watching a movie and there might be a character, and there might be, and this character might have certain qualities that you admire. It's really, it's possible to be watching this character who is acting as, who is showing up as an archetype for you, who has these qualities, who represents something that you want more of in your life. And you can sort of observe and observe how they carry themselves, observe how they move through the story, and whether it's confidence or trust or presence, right? um, I noticed, this is kind of a side note, but I notice a lot of times in movies, because it's just a movie and it's not reality, and the character doesn't have the complexities that we have as we're moving through our days. A lot of times there's a sense of presence that the character has in the movie. Like, say they're just walking down the street and doing something like a task, like they're walking to the bookstore or they're getting into the car. A lot of times there's a presence because the actor is singularly, all they have to do is walk to the car, open the car, enter. And there's something about, again, the way that the shot is framed, the lighting, the embodiment of the actor. There's a presence to it. Have you ever seen, like, yeah, just in a scene, it's almost as if the characters can be quite present because they're just actors. They just have to they just have to depict an action in that scene, and they don't actually have, like, all of the thoughts and all of the background noise that we as humans, full humans, have. So sometimes I feel like, this is, I don't know if this is making any sense, but sometimes I feel like there's a quality of presence that I can notice in actors in a scene, and like a singular focus that they have in that moment, and it feels a little bit almost like artificial, perhaps you could argue, but there's a simplicity in that, because that's all the character is doing in that moment, is sitting, and then there's like the one task that they have to do in the scene. And what if we brought that simplicity and that singularity into our lives, right? Like, there's nothing else blank, there's not, quiet in the mind. All I'm doing in this scene is arriving at my desk, sitting, placing my hands on the wooden table, really feeling what that feels like. Picking up my cup, placing it down. Again, it's the cinema in it, right? There's focus. There's a sharpness. There's a excuse me. Anyway, so all that to say, yeah, seeing characters as archetypes is a really cool way to notice, okay, I really like that quality in that character. How can I bring that in? And you notice that in their posture, actors being very embodied because of the work that they're doing. Okay, noticing how that character carries themselves in their body. Notice the way they sit, notice their posture, notice their facial expression, and that can be a shortcut into sort of embodying those qualities ourselves. All right, so that's all I will say for now about about movies and mindfulness, and yeah, now I do think they can help us shift our mood, and how I do think that something as everyday as something that you might be already doing, excuse me, as watching movies can actually be folded into your mindfulness practice, into your awareness practice. All right, I'm gonna take a look at the chat now before I kind of wrap up here. Thank you again for everyone for being here, especially your patience, as some of you have popped in a little bit later, so you may not know, but excuse me. So I had scheduled a live stream, and I was having technical difficulties on desktop, so this is a new live stream that I started instead of the scheduled one that I had set, and I'm on mobile, so I don't know how live streams on mobile get saved and recorded, but thank you for being here again. We started with a super quick meditation on seeing, and just really talked about how movies and the art of movies and cinematography can really help, can be also a pathway in our mindfulness practice to bring more awareness, to bring sharp awareness and focus, to bring paying attention, and to bring appreciation to the beauty in the everyday. Not to mention practicing really being the disentangled, unattached witness to the dramas that are unfolding in the movie. Similarly, we can bring that into practice with the dramas that are constantly unfolding inside of us, and practice kind of being the spectator, being the witness to it all, being the compassionate witness that's a little bit less identified and can just kind of spaciously observe. So hello, love from Iran. Oh wow! Oh my gosh. Okay, it's not my country. My country is Canada, so slightly different. But yeah, thank you for the words of appreciation. And my family is from Iran too, so definitely constantly praying for freedom for the people of Iran. Really, really good. Thank you for being here. Lovely to sit with you again too, Alan. Hello, hello. Yeah, really lovely to be here with you too, sweet angel. Thank you to all the cheerleaders, the patient ones, the ones that have really stuck it out. So I did have a few questions. I answered only a couple. I'm going to close with this question. There were a couple. So favorite movies. I dropped the movie Amélie and The Double Life of Veronica, especially for movies that bring that sense of appreciation to existence. The other, there was a question on Instagram about, do I still lead guided meditations in VR? And right now I do not lead guided meditations in VR anymore. I do have friends that do, and I have friends who attend the meditations that others lead here that are online right now. But right now I don't have the capacity to add that in. I love these live streams. I try to do these live streams the first Sunday of every month. And so I'm kind of experimenting with this format right now. And the last question that I'll end with is the most important question of all these days and all days, which is how this is another question that came through on Instagram. How do I stay grounded in a world of upheaval? So, two quick things. How do I stay grounded in a world of upheaval? It is so freaking hard these days. It is harder than ever. But a couple quick things. And obviously, you can look at all my YouTube videos. Literally, every YouTube video is an answer to this question in some way. But just to, in a nutshell, what helps me when everything seems really chaotic and absolutely horrific is zooming out. Literally, like, well, not literally, but zooming out. Again, maybe if we're thinking about things cinematically, you can almost zoom out planet Earth and kind of look at planet Earth from afar, right? The camera has zoomed way out, and you're looking at planet Earth. Maybe you're zooming out even more and you're seeing a few more celestial bodies. Not only zooming out visually, but zooming out not only zooming out spatially, but zooming out temporally and thinking about the longer view of time and history. And even though everything seems really, really intense and difficult right now, and it really, really is for a lot of people, and we can really hold that in our hearts and send compassion to those that are hurting. But also, when you zoom out, this is what life on earth is like. This is what humanity is like, with all of its bright and all of its dark parts. And again, sort of taking it a little bit less personally. And it's not to discount any personal suffering that people are going through. It's just to have a little bit more of a balanced view that, yes, there's a lot that feels wrong in the world right now, but also when you zoom out, such is nature, such is the nature of existence, such is the nature of humans, and arguably things have been getting better. There's a lot of data that things have been actually getting less violent when you really zoom out, and you really need to zoom out and look at decades and centuries, and that maybe somewhere in the chaos there is some sense of order that does not make sense, some sense of progress. But as Martin Luther King would say, the arc of history is long, but it does seem to be leaning towards justice. It's just that when we're so zoomed in our lifetime, it doesn't always feel that way. So that zooming out can really be helpful. And then when you're done with zooming out, and when you're done with really seeing that what the chaos that's happening on planet Earth could just be the way that things are unfolding in nature, and there's not a whole lot we can do, then after that, you can zoom in to exactly what you can do, because there is things that we can do. But zooming out, thinking about the scale of things can be really overwhelming. So really zooming back in after that, what in your circle of concern, and just in where you have influence, where you have control. Your own emotions, first of all, we start right here. The people that you can serve, and the people that you can soothe in your own circle, in your own very, very small circle, really starting there. And even if that just means sharing a smile with someone that you pass by on your walk, a kind word, the stranger sitting alone on the park bench, something that you can do in your community to bring understanding and service and a little bit of help, a little bit of kindness, a little bit of improvement on a really small scale. So that's what helps me. When things are super chaotic, zooming out, being like, okay, the chaos is, I have another video that talks about, I think the video is called "Do You Still Get Depressed?" And I think that one can be really helpful too. But I talk about, things that seem really horrific, like from Alan Watts, that when you look at when you look at the microorganism that is your human body, there's a lot of violence going on, right? Blood cells are attacking blood cells and cells are dying, and it seems like war, it seems like violence. But when you really zoom out, you see that chaos and that war and that violence, actually there's a harmony to it. It's what's keeping my human body alive. So again, that's that zooming out and gaining perspective. And then we can zoom back in and really focus, again, bringing that camera focus in real tight and seeing what is it that I can focus on that first of all is bright, that I am grateful for, that can give me a burst of energy, that can energize me, that can fuel me. And then what can I focus on in my circle to that I actually can have a positive influence on. So that's how I would answer that. And okay, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you all for being here, and yeah, I'll see you next time.